Hello everyone, welcome back to the IELTS online series, and today we are at the day 8 for this series, and in today's class we'll be starting the writing task 2. So let us quickly begin. So in the writing task 2, you generally are required to write 250 words. And the question, unlike the writing task 1 where you see a statistical or a diagram, and which you are required to describe, in the writing task 2 you are presented with a point of view or an argument or a problem, and you are required to write the essay depending on what the question is asking you to do. And the question may ask you to present a solution to a problem, right, and present and justify an opinion, compare and contrast evidence and opinions, and evaluate and challenge ideas by providing your evidence or arguments. Now, there are 5 question types that we are going to look for this question type. If if you talk to other teachers, so what you'll find is some people will say that there are 14 question types, or some people will say that there are only 3 question types. So be assured that it's not about how many question types you are studying, but it's about, are you understanding the foundation of the kind of question that they're asking you in the exam or not. So for example, let's see, even though I'm saying that there are 5 question types, I can categorize the first 2 question types as opinion questions, right? In fact, sometimes the advantage disadvantage question can also fall under this question type, which is an opinion question, where the question may ask you to give you an opinion. Then we have a two-part question and a problem solution question, right? Now so the major question types are, one is opinion question, the second one is a two-part question, and a third one is a problem solution question. Now this can also be played, right? So instead of asking for a problem solution, the question may ask you a cause solution question, right? Or a problem and cause question. So I have categorized all these kinds as one question type, which is a problem solution question. So don't be confused when you hear that, oh, there are 14 question types and you just have studied 5 question types or 3 question types, because it's all about understanding what is the question an opinion question, is the question a problem solution question, or is the question an advantage and disadvantage question. Sorry, is the question a two-part question. Now that is all you should know for the writing task 2. And just as we discussed in writing task 1, do not write your essay as soon as you see the question. So the first step is obviously to understand the question, identify the type of the question, what question type it is, and how to identify it. We will talk about that as we go through all of these question types. The second step, as I already mentioned, is understanding the topic of the question. Are there backgrounds in the question, or what is the question exactly asking you to talk about? Then we are going to make notes about the question that you are required to write an essay on, and how to make notes for different kinds of question. We'll talk about that as well as we move on with the class. Then we are going to choose a position for the essay on the basis of the notes generated. Now, a lot of people start writing and then go and give their position or their opinions at the end of the essay, but we are not going to do that. You should know what your opinion or your position of the essay is before you start writing your essay, on the basis of the ideas that you're going to talk about in your essay. So similar to that, like we did in the academic task 1, when we were, instead of writing a conclusion, we were writing an overview, basically summarizing whatever we are going to write in our body paragraphs. So we are going to use the same approach in the academic task 2 as well. And finally, you should be able to organize your essay mentally, meaning what to write in which paragraph, right? First paragraph ma ke lekhne, second body paragraph ma ke leख्छु, third ma ke leख्छु, second र third लाई कसरी connect गर्ने, अथवा argumentsहरू कसरी compare गर्ने, हैन, र finally conclusion चाहिँ मैले कसरी गर्छु भनेर चाहिँ you should be able to at least visualize it in your head before you start writing your essay. And for the structure of the essay, so we are instead of writing an overview, instead of writing an overview and not writing a conclusion, in this case we are going to write a conclusion. So meaning the essay starts with an introduction, then 2 body paragraphs, and finally a conclusion. So even though I did mention that, we are going to mention our position, so the introduction is inclusive of that position, which we also called a thesis statement, right? You can call it a thesis statement or you can call it the position of your essay. It's the same thing. All right. So now let us quickly start with the first question type, which is which is opinion questions. And in opinion question, the first question type was an agree disagree question. So this is the agree disagree question type. So as we just talked, the first thing that we are going to do is identify the question type. Now, how do we identify if this is an agree disagree question or any other question type? You can identify by reading the stem of the question, right? If the question is an advantage disadvantage question, the stem of the question will talk about what are the advantages and disadvantages, or do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, right? Now in this case, because the question is asking you explicitly to mention your opinion about whether you agree or disagree with the statement, this we'll call this question an agree disagree question. Now again, this rephrasing can be done in multiple ways, which again gives the notion to students and teachers that there are different multiple question types, but at its core, no matter whatever the rephrasing be of this question, it is one basic question type of opinion based, and we'll call that opinion based question an agree disagree question. Now, trying to understand the topic of the question, let us read the question. Some people say that international sporting events contribute greatly to peace and stability in the world. Now, in this case, basically the statement is saying that international sporting events, let's say, peace ma contribution, peace or stability ma che contribution, gorsa, right? So that is the topic of the question, and there are times when the topic may be a little bit complicated. Now this was pretty much easy for us to understand what the question is saying, or what the statement or what the argument here is. And the question is asking you, do you agree with the fact that international sports events promote peace, or do you disagree with this statement, right? So now what we are going to do is make two columns. In the first columns, we are going to generate ideas on agreement toward the statement, right? And in the second column, we are going to generate ideas for disagreement. Now I'm sure all of you have a notion regarding, do you agree or disagree, but do not just follow that notion. Rather generate ideas and see, how many ideas that you can elaborate such that you reach the word count of 250 words. And you should be able to generate at least 3 ideas on both sides, and depending on the number of ideas that you can generate, we are going to say whether you disagree or agree about the statement. So now let us start. So the first point that I have generated here is encourages unity and harmony. So international sports event actually encourages unity and harmony, and hence it leads to peace. So that is my main idea. Now I have put this in bold, while the others are not, because these are the sub ideas that actually support this point, right? So how does it encourages unity and harmony? Because fans from all over the world gather at one place, they travel and they are at one place together, promoting unity. Apart from that, it allows cultural exchange and promotes understanding, again, demonstrating unity and harmony. An example of it could be FIFA World Cup or Olympics, right? So these are the sport events where people travel from different countries despite their differences in languages and culture. So that is how international sports event promotes unity and harmony. Now the second point that I have generated is used by various nations as a gesture to strengthen diplomatic relationships. Now in this point, what I'm trying to say is, we all know that there are a lot of sports event which happen in a lot of different countries, and in fact, this allows conversations between um, you know politicians and um, presidents or prime ministers of different countries, that allows them to tackle or solve their rifts. At least it provides a platform where people from different countries can come and converge, right? So that is so international sports, through international sports, even this happens, and hence this also can promote peace, right? So that is another reason for me to say that I agree with this statement. So in this case, I have generated 2 points. Now let us see what are the points that I have generated for disagreeing with this statement. So the first statement that I have said is debate whether it is just a commercialized propaganda or does it really contribute to peace. Now, obviously, the international sports events have recently been commercialized, and there are a lot of bettings and a lot of corruption going on, right, for the events to happen in a certain country. So is it really about peace these days, or everything has become capitalist, right? So that is one point as to why I would agree that it does not greatly contribute to peace. The second point is disrupts communal harmony between fans from competing teams. Now, obviously, we do know that, especially I would not like to name a country, but especially in a lot of developing countries, we'll see people coming on social media and spreading hate messages and memes about teams of other countries and making it religious, breaking all this, breaking the harmony between these people, especially sensitive issues. So that could be another reason why I think that it does not contribute to peace. This is rather a elaboration of the same idea. We can also talk about, as I have mentioned, gambling. So it also has in recent scenarios set an environment of gambling among youth, so that also is not a very good trait of international sports event, I would say, right? So these are the reasons that I have generated. Now, depending on these reasons, I have generated 2 points for to support the fact that it indeed promotes peace, and I have generated almost, let's say, 2 points here as well. Now, how should I determine which side should I take? The question is asking me to what extent do you agree or disagree. Now, let us see what are the positions that we can take. So there are three positions that you can take. The first one is completely agree. So when I say completely agree, I would say that yes, international sports event definitely promotes peace, and you do not believe at all that it can in any way disrupt peace, right? So if you completely agree, you can develop your essay or your body paragraphs in two ways, which is put positive arguments for the supporting side in both paragraphs, and put positive arguments for the supporting side in one, and justify why the arguments of other side is incorrect. So first of all, we are yet to start writing our essay, and before writing your essay, you should, if you choose to completely agree, how should you actually develop your essay? So these are the two ways you can develop your essay. The first one being the fact that in your entire essay you're just going to give reasons as to why do you agree with this statement. Or the second way would be that you would put your reasons as to why you agree with the statement, and in the second paragraph you can actually say these people who are saying that international sports event is a propaganda are wrong, and why do you think they are wrong? So you must give your reasons as to why do you think that they are wrong, and hence these are the two ways you can develop your essay if you choose to completely agree with the statement. But there is a question you must ask yourself in this case, which is, let's say if you choose to use this, you choose to completely agree and you choose to use this way to write your essay. Now, will you be able to write 250 words just on the basis of you know the points that you have generated? So we have hardly generated 2 points. So will you be able to write 250 words on the basis of just this many idea, while displaying what they want you to display, while displaying grammatical range and accuracy, vocabulary, lexical resources, content, basically, right? So will you be able to do that is a question that you should ask yourself. Moving on, another position that we can take is completely disagree. If you completely disagree, you are saying that I do not believe at all that international sports event promote peace, and it just disrupt peace. There's no way it can promote peace in any way. Now, in this case as well, either there are two ways you can develop your essay, which is either you can put positive arguments for supporting side in both the paragraphs, meaning you put your arguments as to why you do not believe that international sporting events are a contributor of peace in both the paragraphs of your essay. The second way would be similar to what we just discussed: put positive arguments as to why you believe what you believe, and in the second paragraph talk about why the other side are wrong. So these are the two ways you can develop your essay as well. Now, the third one is a rather diplomatic side, which is partially agree, because the question was asking it to what extent do you agree, right? Now, obviously, we know that nothing is black and white in this world as to, so in this case as well, there are few pros and there are few cons of international sports event. It does promote peace at certain times and it does not at times, right? So that is why, depending on the notes that we have generated, we have equal number of notes for both the sides. So you can actually say that I partially agree with this statement. And in this case, what you can do about, in the first paragraph, you can talk about how does it promote peace, and in the second, you can talk about how does it, you know, how does it disrupt peace. And you can say that both sides are justified by, by saying that I partially agree with the statement. So now these are the three positions that you can take in a agree disagree question. All right. Now let us move on with this question and see how to start writing the essay. Now these are all the things that you should be mentally able to do before you start writing your essay, and you should take around 5 to 7 minutes in the exam to be able to do this, because after you are done this, it's pretty much just writing your essay on your paper, because you have already mentally prepared as to what to write, how to write, and where to write. So let us now start learn how to write an introduction for a task 2 question. So, to write an introduction, there are three main things that you should include in your introduction. The first one is a vague background and context of the topic. Now, this is something that is not compulsory. A lot of students do this just to, depending on the position that they have decided, just to set a background. They try to mention a background, but make sure that the background is not very irrelevant. So, because you have already decided on the position of your essay, so it should be related to the position of your essay. The second point is you should restate the question in your own words. Again, do not copy more than 2 consecutive words from the question. So we know the rules of paraphrasing, right? Apart from that, you do not need to change the main keywords, but rather try to rephrase, you know, rephrase non-keywords. You can copy the main keywords, but do not copy more than 2 consecutive words, and try to rephrase the question that is there in the essay argument, and write it in your introduction as well. And the final one is mentioning your thesis statement, which is also the position of your essay. Now, obviously, the position, the thesis statement may change from question type to type, because some questions are asking for your opinion, while some questions are just asking a what question or a problem solution question or an advantage disadvantage question, or depending on that, your thesis statement is going to change, right? So these are the three things you must include in your introduction part of the task 2 essay. So thesis statement is basically an outline of your essay, mentioning the position of your essay, and gives the reader a lead on what you are going to talk about in your writing. So as I have already mentioned, it's basically a summary of your entire essay. You should present your opinion as to in the first paragraph rather than mentioning it in the second paragraph, and your entire essay should be in sync with your introduction, right? So you should not say I agree with the statement, and you should not go about writing the negatives of, how it does not promote peace, right? So you should not do that in your exam. So let us look at the introduction for the question that we have just discussed. So the position that I'm going to take is partially agree, and this is what I have done. So international sports event has led to millions of people to gather at one location from different nations despite regional and cultural differences. So this is my background. It is said that such events are major promoters of peace. So this is my restatement of the question. And while nations do organize sports events to encourage peace, these events can also disrupt peace. So now this is my thesis statement, right? So what my opinion is saying is, I'm saying that to what extent do you agree or disagree? I'm saying that I agree with both of these sides, because there are certain incidents where it leads to promotion of peace, where in certain instances It does not, right? So that is what my thesis statement is. And now, depending on this, I'm going to decide how to write my body paragraph. Now, before we move on to discussing how to write the remaining part of the essay, we are going to first look at all the question types and learn how to approach these question type, how to make notes for this question type, how to choose your position, and finally how to write an introduction. After we are done with this part, we'll move on to learning how to write the body paragraphs, how to organize them, how to develop your ideas, and so on, right? So for this class, the next step would be for you to practice this question. So you can copy this question or you can screenshot it and use this question to at least write an introduction for this question type. Now let us move on to second question, which is a discussion question type. So how is a discussion question different than that of an agree disagree question, even though this falls under the same broad category of an opinion question? So if you answer this question, you will be pretty much clear about how to differentiate between these two question types. Whenever you are looking at a question, if the question stem asks you to discuss both views and give your opinion, the question becomes a discussion question. Now, if you remove the discuss both views part, and the question just bluntly asks you to give your opinion or to what extent do you agree or disagree, the question becomes an agree disagree question. Are we clear on that? I hope that we are clear on that. So to identify any question as a discussion question, make sure that the stem of the question mentions discuss both views. And in this question type, you must discuss both views. Now, as we just discussed in the agree disagree question, there are multiple ways you can develop your essay, right? In an agree disagree question, you can choose to just talk from one side or you can choose to talk about both sides. But in a discussion question, you must present your arguments from both sides and then come to an opinion. So these question types explicitly ask you to discuss both sides and you must discuss both sides in your essay. One easy way is that you can support one side and go against the other by displaying the position of the essay in your thesis statement. So what I meant is, in an agree disagree question, if you are agreeing, you can just give supporting points on reason why do you agree, or you can say that you can present supporting points and go against the other side, right? Now in a discussion question, you do not have this option and you must just follow you must discuss both the sides and then come to an opinion. Now there are other ways also that you can actually solve a discussion question, which is by presenting positives and negatives of both sides, and then also you can come to an opinion as to why do you believe or which do you think is the better option. So these are the two ways that you can follow in a discussion question. You cannot just talk from one side in a discussion question, you must discuss both the sides. All right, so let us look at a sample question for a discussion question. Most countries allow 18-year-olds to start driving a car. Some say it is good to allow it at this age, while others think that the age to start driving should be at least 25. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So now, even though this question is also telling me give your opinion, but because of this part, I know that this is a discussion question. Now the first thing that we have done is identify the question type. Second thing is we also need to have a clear understanding as to what the question is asking. So the question is basically asking, should countries allow at 18 or allow at 25, right? So should countries allow driving at 18 or at 25? So now this is what the question is asking. Now I must generate ideas for both the sides to be able to come to a conclusion that I want to. So depending on the points that I have generated, let us see the points that I have generated here for the both the positives and negative points in the side of allowing driving or allowing to get license at the age of 18. So the first point is a positive point, which is quick learning. The second point is that it is a legal age, right? Then the third point is also a positive point, which is independence. Then we also have easy commute, which is also a benefit of allowing driving at 18, right? So all the points that I have generated are rather positive points. Busy schedule despite age immature. So all of these points are negative points, right? Now, obviously, what you can do is generate positive and negative points for both of these columns, and depending on what kind of points you have generated, you can come to a conclusion. Now, in this case, depending on the kind of points ideas that I have generated, I'm going to say that my opinion is that I'm with this side of people who allow driving at the age of 18, because I'm saying that there are not much benefits of allowing driving at the age of 25, right? So depending on the notes, you should be able to come to an opinion. So let us see, because we have already decided what position we are going to take. Let us see how can we write the introduction for this question. So in contrast to the past, the skill to drive a car has become more of a necessity than a luxury. So this is my background. However, whether driving licenses should be issued at the age of 18 or 25 is a matter of debate. So this is a restatement of the question. And personally, I don't see any grounds on waiting to turn 25 to drive a car. Now, in this case, I am taking the side of allowing to drive at 18. Now, there are times you should be careful, as to in this question, we cannot take the partially agree position, right? Because the views have explicitly been mentioned in the question, right? So some say this, some say that. Either you agree or you disagree, right? So you should not take a partially agree position. It will just make your essay more complicated and rather difficult for the reader to understand. So it's always useful to take an opinion or a position which is very easy for you to write, and easy for the reader to understand as well, especially in questions where all the views have been mentioned explicitly in the question. Do not take a partially agree position. All right, so this was all about today's class. And in today's class, we talked about the approach to academic task 2 question, and we learned how to write introduction for the first 2 question types. In the next class, we'll learn how to write introduction for the remaining 3 question types, and we'll also discuss how to start writing body paragraphs. All right, thank you guys. That should be it for today's class. I'll see you guys in next.